Today on the Topic Show, Trump proposes a tax of 1,000% on imported vehicles to bolster U.S. manufacturing. Kamala Harris has an advertisement that promises to turn the whole U.S. into Detroit. Harrison Butker, the Chiefs kicker, endorses Donald Trump. California to reinstate mask mandates starting November 1st. BMW M3 will keep their gas engine for at least one more generation. Ikea sales dip in 2024, specifically their fiscal 2024. And Fisher-Price has a baby swing recall. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day because he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, for Q4, we're giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase. Go to toppingtechnologies.com to learn more. Also, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going to the business part of the podcast, some good news. BMW M3 will continue to have a gas engine for at least one more generation before they probably bastardize it and turn it into yet another EV. Now, this comes to us thanks to James Gilboy over at The Drive, where if you're not watching on the good old Rumble or the YouTube, you are missing out on this beautiful visualization. Obviously, not talking about myself, but pulling up the article, you have a beautiful, well, I love green cars more and more. You have a green BMW M3 in all of its glory. With those quad tailpipes, beautiful curves, and a little too many doors for me. It's got 4 doors, but still looks pretty darn sharp. Now, again, this is by James over at The Drive, saying, quote, "The BMW M3 will keep its gas engine for at least one more generation." So you know what? They have better colors for this, but if I won the lottery, I wouldn't mind getting a CT5V Blackwing by Cadillac. V8 stick shifts are getting harder and harder. And that's one of the few awesome things of the GM portfolio these days. You know what? I tell you what, I'd still go Cadillac. But, let me know your choice in the comment to be fascinated to hear what you have to say, of course. Now, they say, quote, "With BMW leaning into electrification and the IM3 trademark on the books for a while, it seemed like they were going to say goodbye to the BMW M3 as we know it. A nearly 40-year German performance stalwart, its traditional combustion engine abandoned for a bundle of batteries, but don't need to worry any longer. The CEO of BMW M just confirmed in a German interview that another generation of the gas-burning M3 is coming with the superb S58 engine people love for years." Now, I'm actually pretty surprised since the CEO, I was kind of making fun of him for being mentally vacuous and not knowing his consumer because, earlier in 2024, they were talking about how, the brand of BMW is going to go more electric. Again, this is the BMW M CEO, so it's a performance part of the company. And and I'm pretty sure he wasn't drunk. What do they drink in Germany? I know they have, this probably a fancy beer I should be able to name off the top of my head, but nevertheless, he was not inebriated when he said this. He said that, well, more and more performance cars are going to go to, automatic transmissions because, the stick shifters aren't, not as good as fuel economy. Yeah, let that sink in for a New York minute there. Not as good for fuel economy. No one gives a damn about fuel economy when you're buying a sports car at that level. Like, I love a Honda Civic Si, and I do appreciate it gets good fuel economy, but that's not really a sports car. It's a sporty car I love. We're getting to the level of BMW or a Cadillac CT4, CT5V Blackwing series. You're buying it for miles per gallon. And you're buying a stick shift because you love probably going to the track or just you don't want to feel dead inside going to work every day. I'm like partially kidding. I mean, I know I'm in the minority of owning a stick shift vehicle, but BMW is the longest, and again, let me know in the comments if you do or do not like ADHD comments or moderate ADHD comments. The longest running successful mantra advertisement in advertising history for the automotive community is BMW. I mean, it literally is the power of your dreams. Like, does anyone dream about an electric car? People like them, but no, they don't dream about that. Absolutely not. But nevertheless, he said, oh yeah, we're going to come out with more automatics. And they've said the stick shift is dead more and more because the take rate is decreasing throughout time, which, again, sad. If I ever become president, maybe do a $10,000 tax break if you buy a stick shift. Doing it for EVs, why not do it for, make America shift again? I'm like partially kid. Now they say, quote, "Frank Van Mille dropped the initial interview with German outlet Beamer today. For a time anticipated that the electric-based M3, reportedly codenamed ZA0, would outright replace the ICE model. Van Mille expects the quad-motor EV to be quicker around the track than the fuel version. But the fact the gas model will survive is good to know news as we would want. Because Again, it also doesn't matter because most tracks don't allow EVs. Parts because they're not engineered for that. Also, they don't have the insurance or the proper fire suppression technology to actually handle an EV fire when they do happen. So very few tracks, especially in North America, allow that right now. And again, you have to worry about charging the damn thing, which, again, with the current technology, that's a good and bad thing about tech. By the time this interview is published, well, or the show is published, well, maybe we'll have a new magical battery technology. That'll be, perfect in every way. I'm pretty skeptical, but probably not. But it might someday. Now here you can see a beautiful BMW engine under the hood, which, I still hate those stupid plastic engine covers they bolt on there for muffling the noise and all that kind of stuff, and the reasons they do it. But still nice to see a good old gas engine there. They say that, quote, as for the engine, Van Meel said BMW is working to make the current model's 3-liter twin-turbo S58 inline-6 complacent with the next generation Euro 7 emission standards. Yet another entity that's trying to destroy the automotive brands and communities. Again, there are many variables of why these companies are pushing towards EVs. Not all of them self-serving, and not all of them because consumers want it, because the government is kneecapping them and forcing them. Ridiculous. They say, quote, when they take, again, those emission standards go into effect summer 2025, which ridiculous. They say the S58 powered cars would comprise a meal of the M sales, so Van Fleet reportedly said that the engine won't go away as long as BMW can turn a profit from them. And that's good. So BMW blog also reported that Van Meel is confirming that M3 will continue to offer a manual. Excellent. He said, however, the powertrain will not emphatically not carry forward the new generation M4. The 4 Series itself is expected to drop the internal combustion engine. Yeah, the i4 will pick up where it leaves off. Sad. Pathetic. Boring. So at least, again, they'll have that stick shift and they'll have the gas engine for now. Again, none of this is in financial advice, but if I... Shoot. I mean, historically speaking, automotive purchases are the worst purchase anyone makes in their lifetime. But imagine how much these fun gas engine vehicles will be when the whole world and governments bullied people in EVs. They can be remotely shut off at any time and they control when you can charge it. But I partially digress. Maybe I don't think that, maybe they will go up in value. We'll just say I'm pretty skeptical. Now, going to the comments, because they actually have a couple comments here. One of the first ones comes from Logan saying, quote, I, for one, can't wait for a 4-cylinder turbo M3 with 2,000 pounds batteries in it. Yeah, that's another reason these things are getting worse and worse. All the added weight, also rules and regulations for automotive safety, as well as all the other stuff. Yeah, these things weigh as much as an elephant. It's getting up there. Neuro says, coming up, M3 with 600 horsepower and slower than the predecessor due to the weight of the small moon in its own gravity field. Bob says, once ice is gone, the model should be retired. It'll become yet another insignificant appliance. Yep. Redboat Sale says, walking back owners EG or EU regulations 5432, which, yeah, another reason I'm not a fan of the big government. Oh yeah, the EU, let's all banner countries together. They can bully these companies into making boring cars and taking away freedom. Here you can see actually at the bottom there's more pictures of, oh, are there? There. Yeah. Call me crazy, but the grill of the M3 is growing on me. Some calling it a pig stout or really, big and obnoxious, but it's growing on me. Man, that green looks mean. I love that. It's like almost like a lime green. Again, Cadillac is being so stupid not having more fun colors. All the performance brands, all the top line does it. They got BMW and Porsche famously have many unique colors. Cadillac has like 6. I don't know what they're doing at GM, but they need some new thoughts and new leaders. But some good news, they're going to have a gas engine and a stick shift. So if you're looking to get a BMW in the future, that'll be good for now. And let me know, do you think they'll actually successfully, lobby and push back against these ridiculous EU regulations? And the US has more and more as well. Let me know, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, you have Ikea revenue. Well, it falls a little bit as their sales for 2024 come in, as they have a fiscal calendar that's different than the actual calendar year. This comes to us thanks to Jordan at CNN Business, which somehow still in business. I'm actually pretty shocked. Now, he says specifically, quote, Ikea revenue falls after it lowered prices, which definitely concerning for I was going to say people work there, considering, again, record inflation, so the dollar's worth less thanks to the ineptitudes of the government, left and right. Now, they say, quote, last year, Ikea sliced prices around 2,000 products to give inflation-worried customers a break. Although they sparked an increase in orders, revenue fell for the first time in 4 years as discounts took a bite out of its bottom line. Sales slipped 4% to, and geez Louise, I don't know how many Swedish French fries this is, or Swedish fish this is, so it translates to US dollars, which, again, I think obviously the stores are ginormous. Did you realize how big this is? Ikea's sales for 2024 fiscal year was $49.3 billion. Now, again, their fiscal year is September 1st, 2023 to August 31st, 2024. And that's, they say that, quote, Ikea is the world's largest furniture retailer, said that it doesn't have any regrets about lowering its prices and about a $2 billion discount. Wow. In all of its stores globally. That's a pretty big discount. CEO Jesper Brodin, the CEO of Inga Group, Ikea's biggest franchise, said in the press release that inflation and interest rates have impacted people's wallets. When times are challenging for people, we want to support them in the best way, unquote. Which, again, that is probably, one of the best ways you can help out. I think people do have short-term memories, but in terms of hard times and companies and trying to help you out and putting good gestures, putting their best foot forward and such, I'd like to think people do remember that, especially being a business owner myself and trying to help my clients out any way we can during those unprecedented hard times. Now, they continue saying that, quote, investing into lowering our prices in the short term promise this will be a year where we get to strengthen our vision, togetherness, and entrepreneurship, live up to the best of times. They noted that also, like its rivals, Ikea gradually hiked prices since the peak of the pandemic in 2020 as cost of materials and transport rose. Oh yeah, exponentially. I mean, there's a time where half the memes on the Facebook where the Fast and Furious, where, again, it shows how old that franchise is. The very first thing they were stealing in Fast and Furious, there's also about street racing at the time, were VCR TV combos, the 2-in-1s, which, that was a long time ago. But there's the memes where instead of the TVs and DVD players, they replaced it with just bundles of wood. Because again, the wood materials were so expensive during the pandemic. They know that lowering prices led to a higher number of visits at stores nationwide, which spiked at 21%. It sold, well, geez Louise, their food sales are better than I thought. 1.2 billion meatballs last year. That's also pretty impressive. And they say that Ikea plans on a new round of discounts this year, but it won't be as big. Which, also in terms of like a key thing, do you need to buy? I'm always skeptical in terms of why do people buy so much furniture in America? You don't need it. It's one of those ridiculous things. I would halfway across the country, slept on the floor and nailed pallets together to make a desk. But I partially digress. I know people love to buy their furniture, which they don't really need. They feel they need to buy it frequently when, hard to say. Real men make their own furniture, like this table. If you don't realize that reference, I'll be a little bit sad. Let me know in the comments if you know what show that reference is from. But yeah, in terms of future outlook for Ikea, and people come back left and right, I'm not too surprised their sales fell overall. And once the economy picks up, I'm sure they'll do even better. But let me know in the comments again. I'm not saying other products aren't subpar. There's a lot of people appreciate the value of Ikea. A lot of people like the novelty of assembling, which I think it's a very unique, cool thing. But let me know. Do you think eventually that the raise their prices, obviously, but do you think they'll actually grow more the next calendar year starts now? But let me know in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the culture part of the podcast, you have Harrison Butker, the based Chiefs kicker, endorsing Donald Trump. Now, this comes to us thanks to Leading Report. And there you can see him, not suited up, was it gowned up at the graduation? He was a famous kicker, which is a position in the sports balls known as football. But in all seriousness, his proclamation of fame, he really became, really controversial. When is it? Earlier this year, he had a acceptance or a speech at graduation, in which he noted the importance, most important things you can do if you're a lady is have a child become a mother. It's one of the most, I was going to say it's vital to society. I would say it's probably the most fulfilling thing since the dawn of time and that most people ever feel is being a mother and then also being a father as well. And they roasted him because obviously mainstream media for decades has said, the number one thing is a career, especially for a woman. Like, you could always get a job. Kids, on the other hand, well, not so much. Those are very precious moments. One of these days, and obviously I think it's one of those natural things where most people want, on average, they would love to have that privilege. Not everyone does, but yeah, people started to ridicule him and roast him after that. And as youth might say, he's become based, and he's now officially endorsed Donald Trump for president. Now, I had this kind of topic a couple weeks ago when, Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala Harris, which, granted, she has a whole career of making songs out of bad choices. But nevertheless, I really debate how much celebrity endorsements really matter. I mean, I think some people on the right are especially excited because in terms of celebrities, it's pretty rare to have them come out and support anything conservative these days. I mean, you could probably name them probably count them on two hands. Now, in terms of, Hollywood and media, historically speaking, they've been Democrats for decades. It's not too surprising when they have their endorsements. But I really wonder, it's interesting he's doing this, and in terms of his career, it's not going to hurt him either way because, again, it's a kicker on a sports balls team. He's not selling a product directly to the end user, or he's not making music or book. Maybe he has a book by now, but he's not selling business to consumer kind of business model. He's, entertainment, and he's on the team. It's not just him selling an individual sports balls ticket. So I don't think it's actually impacted his career too much one way or the other until maybe he starts selling as a podcast or something like that. But it is interesting. I mean, more and more celebrity endorsements. He's he's a huge part of the culture. People love sports balls, especially in the United States. I had to do some research. Apparently, the Chiefs is a sports balls team. I'm only partially kidding. I could probably name 3 players off the top of my head. I can tell you a lot more about the IT infrastructure of like sports balls teams, and their history and their profitability as business, but I partially digress. And moderately viral, got a little under 200,000 views, as well as 23,000 likes. And one of the first comments comes from AKA saying this is huge, although it's in all comments. So when I read that, I immediately think Donald Trump saying, "This is huge. I got the best endorsement. Who cares about the quarterback? I got the kicker. He kicks the ball through the hoops. I mean the post." I mean, I'm pretty sure Donald Trump would say something probably to that effect. That got 81 likes. Not me, but, AKA saying that. Libercat Media TM says, a champion endorsing another champion. Love to see it gain 46 likes. The Drunk Idiot said the Swifties aren't going to like this, getting 239 likes, which I really don't think those audiences are the same. I'm not sure how many Swifties. I mean, on average, I don't know how many Swifties actually watch the sports balls. Incidentally enough, I went on a date a couple months ago and talked about not liking a dad joke. I told a girl, talking about like brand endorsements, I was really impressed that, I was trying to be funny, keyword. I was like, oh yeah, Swifties. I can't believe Taylor Swift is such a successful, I mean, I see her at Walmart all the time. She's a very successful entrepreneur. I see that cleaning product, the Swifter. She's, how many billions is she making off that? And girl's like, what's that? I'm like, well, Taylor Swift, Swiftie. Surely she invented the Swiffer mop. That's why she's so famous. And girl's like, no, she's a musician. I'm like, is she? And yeah, that joke fell flat on his face. It's about as successful as Joe Biden climbing upstairs. Let's put it that way. A second date did not proceed that one. I'll just say that much. But going back to the main comment section, you also have IKA Barlow saying Mahomes going to be passing to him LMFAO. 62 likes. Bruce Blau also says smart dude, getting 47 likes. Mason White 91 says that's my kicker right there. Go Chiefs, getting 60 likes. Red Wave Press says a man of God behind the people and the local candidate for president, getting 79 likes. Let's see. Providence 76 says Trump is going to win, getting 3 likes. American Sublime says Mark safe from being offended by Harrison Butker graduation speech, getting 5 likes. Yeah, people went crazy over that. Had the audacity to talk about the importance of motherhood and God, which again also shows how far the left and Democrats have gone extreme left a couple years. I mean, shoot, why back the clock a couple of decades? Most people in politics and culture, we were a much more religious society, especially in the United States at that time. Unfortunately, it's been decreasing dramatically throughout the past couple of years, which I think is a big variable in terms of the cultural decline in the United States. Now, going back, let's see if there's any I don't see any contrarian comments. I'm scrolling all the way down. Deep A says, also, we need more people like him coming forward to endorse Trump, getting 9 likes. Let's see. Zion Darkwoods is breaking, no one cares. We did find a contrarian statement, got 6 likes as well. Let's see. A lot of people saying he's a smart man. He's going to be, now that we're getting to the 0 and 5 likes. A lot of people just saying, hell yeah, smart man, trending. They're saying that. And we got another one. Luke Ryan says no good. He didn't get a like, but he did get 7 views. Not to brag, but one of my videos last week got 8 views. And they were the best, obviously. All about quality or quantity. And if you're a repeat person who's tuning in, especially appreciate it. So, I mean, again, mostly people endorsing it. But again, I think it's fascinating just because, Culture Pod Podcast, this didn't get like 58 million views. It wasn't that, wasn't really that big of a deal. And I think culturally speaking, on average, I think less and less Americans are caring about celebrity endorsements of most things. And I think hopefully more people just do research in terms of like what candidate they're going to vote for and maybe have actual policies they agree with, ideally. So it's an educated vote. Maybe I'm being too optimistic for that last part, but let me know. Do you think this moved the needle at all in terms of getting a couple more people to maybe vote for Donald Trump, or maybe he alienated some of his current fan base so they won't buy another sports balls ticket? Let me know in the comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news: you have California reinstating mask mandates beginning November 1st. Now, this comes to us thanks to an interesting profile name, Spitfire, on the good old X Twitter, or as more and more people just call it, X. And she says, quote, breaking, Gavin Newsom is bringing back mask mandates effective November 1st. Tyranny back in California, which this was not fact checked. Interestingly enough, she says tyranny is back in California. Did it ever really leave? The place that wants to ban guns, literally block parents from knowing what teachers are talking about at schools and transitioning kids, and is tyranny ever really, and censoring Americans, taxing them up to death at 13.5% income tax. It's disgusting on a state level. It would be zero, obviously. But yeah, did tyranny ever really leave California? Businesses leave California, people leave California, but tyranny, I'm pretty sure it's right at home there, unfortunately. But it got about 100,000 views, and definitely worth pulling this up really quick here. And in the reporter's defense, this comes to us thanks to Fox Local. He did suit up. So again, the reporter did something right here today. And again, it's not his political idea or his policy, but he did suit up, as all men should.
Mask mandates are coming back to several Bay Area counties. Health officials have issued orders requiring face masks to be worn in hospitals, skilled nursing facilities, and other healthcare facilities. This order goes into effect starting November 1 until either the end of March or April 2025. Now, the counties requiring masks right now are Alameda, Contra Costa, Santa Clara, San Mateo, and Napa County.
Granted, this probably could be put into the political part of the podcast as well, but I think it is also one of the biggest cultural things in terms of some things have changed the past 4 or 5 years since the pandemic, or as some people call the plandemic. But in all seriousness, but I just think culturally speaking, we saw a huge divide in the United States. People, people rebelling against being forced to put on one of those masks. There's people believing in it so much they're wearing a mask while driving their own private vehicle. I think culturally speaking, on average, I think fewer and fewer Americans are going to accept these mandates. Now, again, these for now are just at these hospitals. Granted, they also said 2 weeks to curb, to curb it. Back in the day, just lock down your life for 2 weeks and we promise everything will be fine. You trust us, right? Haha, dark humor. You could not, in fact, trust them. So I think culturally speaking, I think people are going to push back, especially, again, starting in the hospitals. I could understand maybe the argument for that, but I think people are going to push back. Call me crazy, but I think that's going to happen. Culturally speaking, I think most people are fed up at this point about being told what to do with their personal bodies. Now, going to the comments, one of the first ones coming from, what is this, Wagner Dog? Says it's only for healthcare facilities, but backlash will probably be epic. This has nothing to do with the public health and everything to do with control. Getting 103 likes. Spitfire responded epically saying it's only 2 weeks, unquote. Yep, getting 74 likes. Associated Spaces breaking news: California Governor Gavin Newsom is implementing mask mandates days before the presidential election to make it easier for illegal immigrants to cast votes in fraudulent ballots and ensure no fraud can be determined after the fact. Yes, Democrats are that desperate. Getting 96 likes. And apologize. Click that subscribe button. It may help my speaking ineptitudes. I know I read that faster than let's see, than a car trying to drive through California to get out. Pretty darn fast. So, but as I gain slowly but surely more subscribers, I've increased my speaking skills. So there's a low bar, admittedly, but if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. And someday I will make it through an entire episode speaking perfectly fluently someday. So if you can do me a favor, click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Which, now again, the proximity is only hospitals. Now in terms of the culture, in terms of the bleed over, in terms of do you think people will actually, wear that mask throughout the day, not just the hospital? Some people for sure will. Even in the great state, or some might argue the great country of Texas, there's still 1 or 2 people who have never stopped wearing it. Now, you also have someone by the name of C.S. Brent saying Gavin Newsom can F himself. This Contra Costa Hispanic resident is not masking. Too bad is... Jeez, cover your ears if you have children listening. He's insinuating that it's too bad that Gavin Newsom's mother did not ingest the DNA material from the father in a way that would not result in the reproduction and the subsequent birth of Gavin Newsom himself. Probably the most polite way I can put it. If Eric Burkholder said, all I know is I live in Ohio, and I would love to make it mandatory that people coming from California wear masks in our state. I don't know what the hell they have in their mind, but we don't want it. Getting 41 likes, which don't California my Texas. That's for darn sure. 13.5% income tax. Of all the most egregious, disgusting things in California, that's one of them. Also the gasoline tax, all those taxes, and all those, a ban on magazine that have more than 10 round capacity, ridiculous. Ban on the most popular rifle in all sale, yeah, ridiculous. Deplorable Brick says, what a greasy control freak. I'd tell Newsom exactly where he can put his mask, getting 15 likes. Mascara Dancer says, I'm so sick of living in California, getting 15 likes. Come on, get out. I know the weather is darn near perfect, and the food is delicious. I've been in California once for some tech training, and it was on my employer's dime, so it's especially nice. I appreciate the opportunity. It was fun, but the cost of living alone is a big reason not to live in that place. Yeah, why are you still there? Let me know in the comments. What's one or two reasons why you should live in California, especially with the remote work, especially with businesses leaving there in droves. Let's see. Do one or two more here. Aunt Liz says, ridiculous. They've already proven masks don't work in real life, which, again, I'm not a doctor. I was about to say I do, but I do have a suit. I guess doctors don't really wear suits, though. I usually have a stethoscope. I have a stethoscope. I partially digress. But yeah, again, talk to your doctor, all that kind of stuff. But it's one of those things where, yeah, certain types of airborne things, well, just based on, the mask and, the size of the particles versus the size of the mask, actual, it just, some of them, yeah, sometimes they are or are not effective. I'll just say that much. Talk to your doctor. We'll see if this video is still up. It will be up on the good old rumble.com, the topping show, where they don't censor me left and right when I critique Kamala. Interesting. When I critique Trump, those videos never get pulled down. But yeah, when I critique Kamala, those videos sometimes just disappear. Ridiculous. So again, it'll be interesting to see from a cultural perspective. Will people accept another mask mandate? I mean, starting again in California with these hospitals, will it expand throughout their state? Will other states, copy and paste their policies? I can't but think, culturally speaking, people are going to push back more this time, and there'll be just massive non-compliance. But again, let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the political part of the podcast, you have Trump Build America Auto Plan suggesting a 15% tax for the U.S. and 1,000% tax on imported vehicles to bolster U.S. manufacturing. Which, yeah, 1,000%, that would be huge. Or as he would say, huge, I have the greatest import tax ever. They'll make stuff here or else. Probably you say something to that effect. Now, this comes to us thanks to Fox Business, which is somehow still in business. I don't know a lot of people are really fans of Fox these days. And the fact they never use that little cute fox as a mascot more for branding is ridiculous. But this does come to us thanks to Michael, who's a writer over there. And they say, quote, Trump proposes 15% corporate tax to save American auto industry, threatens 1,000% tariffs tax on imports. Which, yep. And he's also saying that Detroit's auto industry will be decimated as if by a foreign army, which, yeah, they can and will and are. I mean, it's one of those things where you can't beat China when it comes to cheap prices. Again, for better or worse, EVs are overall, in terms of like physical components, simpler to manufacture, much more like a smartphone than a traditional vehicle. And China, or Trump would say, China, they manufacture those things like they're hotcakes. Although rice cakes is probably a more appropriate metaphor. But in all seriousness, look at the iPhone production. Foxconn, major manufacturer or subcontractor manufacturer for Apple, they pop those things out like there's nothing over in China. And with a smart car, or not smart car, the specific brand, but EVs can be about the same, and you cannot beat China on a price point. And also with the technology, they just copy, steal, and paste so easily. I'm really skeptical about how many American automotive companies, especially the legacy big three, which Chrysler already went bankrupt and sold out to the Europeans with the Fiat, and then became Stellantis. And Ford's been the only one, well, Ford and Tesla are the only ones not to go bankrupt historically in terms of American manufacturing automotive companies. But I don't know how well GM and Ford are going to, transition to EVs. Also, the people don't really want them as much. They want hybrids, unfortunately. They should all want a stick shift in a, good old, big old gas engine, but that's just me. Yeah, I think Trump is reading the room right, because the automotive industry, they are under threat. Now, here's a little picture of Trump speaking at the Detroit Economic Club, which somehow there's still an economy in Detroit. I'm only partially kidding, because my family grew up there, one in the actual downtown and one in the suburb, which, yeah, Detroit has been not great for several decades. But they'll be good next year, like the Chicago Bears. That's a sports balls joke, because for decades, all my friends in the Midwest said, oh yeah, the Bears will be good next year, which, spoiler alert, they have not been, they will not be. Now, going to the actual substance of the article, now they say, quote, Trump spoke at the Detroit Economic Club where he announced a new plan to supercharge American auto industry and warned he could slap up to 1,000% tariffs on foreign imported vehicles if elected in his second term. The plan is dubbed Build It in America plan, consists of a corporate tax rate of 15% for companies that choose to manufacture their products in the U.S., as well as tax credits for research and development and fully tax-deductible interest on car loans for small businesses, which, yeah, the fact that not 100% research development is tax-deductible is moronic, to say at least to me. Now, Trump said that Michigan and Detroit were once the world's capital of automotive production until it was squandered by Washington policies, and Detroit policies, let's be honest. But he vowed to bring it back, which, again, there's also big cultural reasons why Detroit is, a lot of crimes, a lot of drugs. There are many variables of why Detroit crumbled into nothingness, but yeah, having a decrease in the corporate tax rate to 15%, that'd be pretty nice. That'd help out this company. It's more money for research, development, innovation, as well as paying employees. Now, he says, quote, Detroit was decimated as if by a foreign army. This was a foreign army invading us, but it was... Oh, wait. Trump is saying this. So obviously I have to at least attempt my futile attempt to my Trump accent. Detroit was decimated as if by a foreign army. This was a foreign army invading us, but it was an army of business people, very brilliant business people, and that took the candy out of our pockets just like you take it from a baby. It was that easy for them. I mean, probably said something to that effect. Oh, no, he did say something to that effect. Well, he probably sounded a lot better than me. But they also know that the U.S. lost nearly 4 million manufacturing jobs after Oh, this is Trump as well. Gotta keep going. The U.S. lost nearly 4 million manufacturing jobs after globalist politicians gave us 2 disasters of NAFTA and the China entry into WTO. Nearly 250,000 jobs were destroyed here in Michigan alone, including 40% of all auto jobs. Factories are left in ruins, beautiful hotels and theaters crumbled, more than 80,000 homes abandoned. Which, yeah, that's all facts. It's again, there's also competition, and it's hard for Trump to. He's not going to say this, but one of the biggest variables of why U.S. automotive have gone down in sales and quality is the unions. And again, I have family and friends on both sides of the aisle in terms of union worker and management worker at the big 3 automotive companies. Kind of a result or inevitable thing when you have family living in Michigan. They're the biggest employers. You usually work for one of them, and the cost every year just keeps going up and up and up for the unions, and the quality goes down. Now, you could argue maybe that's because, well, some of it is human error. They literally installed the wrong headlights and seats at the Ford truck plant, the union workers there. Some of it you could argue is because the companies have less money to spend on higher quality, components of the vehicles because they're paying the union members more. I mean, they make such vast amounts of money. And they also, the most hilarious, ironic things, the unions endorse Biden and give him, like, they've endorsed Democrats for decades and get them elected, and then they get, more favorable government treatment. But they voted for someone who wants to destroy their job. That's the most hilariously ironic thing. Because again, look at what the Biden administration is doing in terms of destroying the automotive community. All these EV mandates, which again, they're de facto gasoline bans because of the tailpipe emission standards or the averages. The only way to hit the averages is more EVs. The most profitable thing that the big 3 made, the big 3 being, Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler, which again is also Dodge and Jeep. Well, the most profitable, best thing they ever made was a good old American V8 engine, the internal combustion engine. That's the most profitable thing they made. And again, some of these union contracts do include profit sharing. They're doing great for decades, though still losing market share to stuff like Toyota and Honda. But again, they're pushing EVs, which will inevitably mean a decrease in the number of people who need to assemble the vehicle, less amount of more entry-level positions or rudimentary activities. So then, because they're going to be making EVs, there'll be more software engineers. The number of employees overall might increase, but they literally voted and endorsed someone who's destroying their industry. And I'm very skeptical in terms of, will the big 3 actually transition successfully to EVs? It took Elon years to get Tesla to be profitable. And don't get me wrong, statistically speaking, he's the most impressive outlier in history when it comes to businesses. And I just don't know if it's going to be enough to help out these companies. Now, Trump also said this tax, 15% corporate tax would be decreased from 21%, which again, these taxes are already too much, especially compared to the global business world. The U.S. has one of the highest tax rates. And dude, I actually make the argument that businesses shouldn't have to pay taxes because they're generating jobs. And again, by the time you get your paycheck, you're so screwed over. You get so little because again, you get the corporate tax. Your paycheck's taxed, 8 ways to. It's such a frustrating thing. I can't even get something out eloquently. Like, your paycheck is stolen so much by the time it actually gets to you, when the government takes all their fees and taxes. It's barely anything. And again, this would be huge, or should I say, huge. And again, I think the U.S. automotive industry desperately needs some help. Especially China continuing growing in size and capabilities. And they're going to get around some of these tariffs by making some things in Mexico. We'll see if Trump could have a new amendment because then the NAFTA, so he had to do something else there. Now, he says also that to help small businesses afford work vehicles, they need to get the jobs done. He vowed to double the amount of equipment investment that can deduct under Section 179 from $500,000 to $1 million, which that'd be great as well. Another thing that, again, is so hard. I have being a small business owner, I have a great disdain for most of these policies and regulations and rules that make it such a pain to actually start a small business and grow a company. And one of the issues is they keep changing the laws, and more often than not, even when Republicans are in office, you just get screwed over being the little guy. Like, you can't even carry over profits from one year to another, just gets taxed, while larger businesses can. So you're not really incentive to keep the company stable by having savings there. But of all that, one of the biggest issues is you used to be able to tax deduct a certain percentage of a vehicle if it's dedicated for work. That percentage is decreasing throughout the years. Now, this would be great because that would increase that tax deduction, which again, if it's used 100% for work, in my opinion, it should be 100% tax deductible. It doesn't matter if your company has a fleet of 10 trucks or 100 or 500 trucks or whatever they're driving there. Now, he also says he announced that the Trump advanced administration will also make interest on car loans fully tax deductible, like mortgage interest is deductible, so small businesses can afford work vehicles to get the job done, which I would love that. I mean, wouldn't personally impact me because, shoot, I have a personal car that I use for work for drop-offs, knocking on doors, prospecting, and meetings, but for all the right, even if we do IT recycle, usually don't need to rent a truck more than a couple times a year. I partially digress. They say Congress in 1986 repealed the federal deduction for interest paid on auto and consumer loans as part of the tax reform bill. Ridiculous. In September, buyers paid an average interest rate of 7.1% and 11.2% on used cars, according to research company Edmunds. Which, yeah. Now Trump also said, "This is where it really gets attention." Yeah, I'll do the impression one more time. I will impose whatever tariffs are required, 100%, 200%, 1,000%. They're not going to sell any more cars in the United States with those plants they're building over there. Which he also says one more. We're not going to let them come into our country and destroy what's left of our auto industry because it's a failing industry, just like it's a failed country right now. We're a failing country. We're a nation in decline, quote, which, yeah, pretty much by every single metric, yeah, we are. We definitely need some major changes to help get things back on track and, improve things in the United States. And it'll be, again, in terms of the implications of, bringing more jobs to the United States. I mean, there's a reason pretty much every, German and Japanese automotive manufacturer does have at least 1 or 2 or 3 sites in the United States. Look at Toyota, best car company, largest, most impressive automotive company on the planet. I mean, they famously headquartered, of course, in Japan, but in terms of the United States, they're headquartered in the great state, or some might argue the great country of Texas, specifically in Plano, Texas. They have facilities or, actual manufacturing sites throughout the whole U.S. And part of that is not just the cost, there's a cost of shipping a vehicle across the globe and also logistics and timing, but there's also tax implications. Made in America is also a good thing for a couple people still care about that, including myself. But there are many reasons. I mean, one at the time is also prohibitively expensive. That there's political, tax implications of why they made more vehicles here, to the point where a lot of the companies that, they're maybe owned, Germany or other places globally, they still make them in America. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's just so bad in terms of all these products, all these politicians that have sold us out throughout the years and given competitive advantage to other countries. And it'll be interesting to see if Trump does get elected. Is this enough to save the automobile community in the United States? Is it enough to save the big three? Is it enough to get them more jobs? He also said day one he's going to pull back these EV mandates. Like, if you have a job in the automobile community, I'd be baffled to ask. It'd be almost incomprehensible why you'd vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Because again, Trump is saying he's going to get rid of these mandates and, in theory, protect your jobs from these foreign vehicles, which I think another byproduct of this thing, if it does pass and he does get elected, you will have more vehicles made in the USA. Who knows? Maybe they have a Porsche manufactured in Texas. Who knows? Maybe Volkswagen Group will increase their factories in the U.S. There will be more jobs here. Now, the downside is it could increase the cost of goods sold into the cost of the consumer, especially if they become unionized labor. Don't get me started, but I think overall this could help out the automotive community, and I think it's going to be a good political move. I think if you're an auto worker, especially your frontline assembly work, I think this is going to be a big attraction to have people, maybe get them across that, finish line of what is the compelling reason to vote for Trump. And I do think this would be good for the legacy automotive manufacturers in the United States. And it would fend off the big, 800-pound, not gorilla, panda in the room with China with their EVs. Because again, if there's absolutely no tariffs, they would just eat everyone's lunch. The price points are so aggressive by the Chinese manufacturers, and they're so apt and they're pretty good at copy pasting technology and ripping it off. So yeah, I think it's kind of inevitable. I wouldn't be. Well, who knows? By the time maybe this publishes, or renders and uploads, Kamala Harris will actually just copy paste this policy as well, as she often does. But let me know: is this enough to actually protect the automotive manufacturing in the United States? Do you think China will just find another way around it? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news: you have Kamala Harris promising to turn the whole U.S. into Detroit, which yeah, spoiler, that'd be hell. I have a family who came up in Detroit. Most of them left as soon as they could. In fact, I kind of joke, my family, when they were escaping Cuba, my mom, was she about 4 at the time? They went to the one place on the planet worse than communist Cuba when Fidel was taking over, which is Southside Detroit. Because even back then, it was already on the downswing, and it was just hell. But thankfully, they worked like hell, went to, went to school and got out, and now I have a couple of relatives that live in the suburbs, obviously. Now this comes to us thanks to End Wokeness, which he says, quote, Kamala just released an ad promising to turn the whole country into Detroit. Which, again, let that pin, or maybe that more appropriately, let that piston drop. Which, yeah, no one wants this. It's only about 17 seconds long, so not too painful. Well, it might be painful for the eyes and the ears to see them, but we'll go ahead and get this done with.
And so what Donald Trump doesn't understand, or care to learn, is that when he said
our whole country will end up being like Detroit if she's your president,
that he should be so goddamn lucky.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Well, if you're watching on Rumble, the music is probably still there. YouTube might have taken out. Again, another reason to watch The Topping Show and Rumble, the freedom site. Because they actually don't take down my videos when I critique Kamala Harris or lawsuits around certain jabs. But, yeah, with Detroit, I mean, name one person in America who wants to move to Detroit. Name one. I remember when I used to work in corporate America, I used to work at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and I kid you not, one of the hardest things in a career of sales, moving up the corporate ladder, traditionally you'd move from inside sales representative to a field representative position. So, you'd work at inside sales with the organization, you go to work every day. Field rep, you'd be working on larger businesses, so you'd be selling them products and services, and you'd be, carrying a bag all day long, as the saying goes. You'd be going to their business, their headquarters. And Hewlett-Packard Enterprise could not find a rep to go to Detroit for so long in terms of internal interviewing and asking folks. They ended up hiring someone wholly unqualified just because he was willing to go and live in Detroit. It was a joke. And oddly enough, I'm pretty sure half his salary went to a bulletproof car and body armor. I'm only partially kidding, though. Those things would probably definitely help living in Detroit. Again, there was one time, which also shows Trump's right in terms of the country crumbling. There was one time where Detroit was literally the richest, most prosperous, safest city on the planet. It's also before, long when the automotive industry was booming, before the unions took it over. But yeah, there was so much profit, so much. I mean, it was astronomical. You look at the architecture back then; it was beautiful. The buildings were literally works of art. I mean, the streets were not literally paved in gold, but everyone was so well off. And yet, it crumbled and crumbled and crumbled. In part because politics, is art. In part because of culture. And yeah, now it's a joke. No one wants to live there. It's a rough area, kind of like Chicago. Well, no, Chicago's always been a rough area. I'm only partially kidding, but yeah, I don't think this ad is good because again, the music is good. I'll give him credit in terms of the music being energetic and all the rhetoric there. But in terms of like a compelling reason, like even when I was a kid, Detroit was a joke. Like I'd always ask my parents, like, "Oh yeah, why don't we go visit Detroit?" And they didn't laugh at me, but they protect my innocence. They go, "Oh no, it's we'll go somewhere else. We'll go to the we'll visit the Ford Museum in the Auburn Hills or not Auburn Hills, or is it? Yeah, a couple hours outside Detroit. Like you never went downtown. Obviously, I know that now. You know why? But it's like, yeah, Detroit. I can't but think, yeah, Kamala Harris thinks this is a good advertisement. If you've never heard of Detroit, it might make sense. If you're new to the country and you've never heard of Detroit and you think it's just a regular city, you might think, oh yeah, Trump's being a jerk. No. Trump's just calling it how it is and how we need to fix it and actually make it great again, which it's an uphill battle. I don't know what the Las Vegas odds are in terms of making Detroit good again, but dude, I'm not a gambling man, but I'd say the odds are probably not good. Now, didn't go as viral as I thought. I got 75,000 views and 1.3 thousand likes. One of the first comments coming from Paul Zupa saying, quote, people from Detroit don't want Detroit to be like Detroit. Getting 128 likes. AKA says she wants the entire country to be filled with crime. She admits it, getting 59 likes. I'm Yes You Are No says, quote, Detroit went from the wealthiest city in America to the poorest in mere decades. America is constantly on a trajectory to become the new South Africa. Americans need a decisive Trump victory in order to stop this. What's this? This isn't a word. I don't agree with it, but they call it the Southern Acate. Oh, wait. Is that a word? It's a good Scrabble word if it is a word. I don't agree with it, but it says the Southern Africanization of America. Getting 118 likes. You also have, Liberty Pill memes is Kamala helping people who are struggling. It's someone who says, I'm starving, I've lost everything. And Kamala's laughing at the person saying I'm speaking. Getting 31 likes. We also have Nick Sorter saying her DEI advisors somehow managed to outdo themselves every single day. Getting 102 likes. Block and Roll says, taking the Lord's name in vain, that's a novel approach to winning voters. Getting 37 likes, which, on average, Democrats aren't very religious these days. They used to be decades ago, but I actually don't think that's going to alienate too many voters. On average, more religious people, I mean, well, pretty much anyone who's Catholic is definitely right-leaning in terms of, I mean, one of the biggest things for being a Catholic is, you know, being pro-life, and that's the antithesis of the party that is Democrats now. So yeah, I mean, you're calling them out. Let me know in the comments. I don't think they'll even lose one voter because of that particular vernacular. But maybe I'm wrong. Red Wave Press says Kamala is bad, but so are the people running her campaign, getting 38 likes. Florida Man Eats says Kamala has the worst campaign for president I've ever seen. No interviews, bad on camera, destroying in the debate. Not to mention unlikable VP she chose. Getting 11 likes, which she did some interviews. They're just pre-planned. She has questions ahead of time apparently, and still manages to butcher it. Bojack says Detroit doesn't even want to be Detroit. There's a graph that says Detroit population from 1980 to 2023, and yeah, it looked like it peaked in 1990? I mean, it was so bad you could buy a house for $1,000. Granted, you have to pay, you know, property tax. That's why they're trying to lure taxpayers there. But $1,000 for a house, probably could still get one for like $3,000 in Detroit right now. Which it might not have the copper wiring anymore, or the copper piping, but it is a house for like $3,000. But it is, look, it's one of those things where it is true when it comes to real estate as a location. Would you want to live there? No. Yeah, I looked at peak. It looks like it peaked at, was it maybe we're 1.1 million? It got 10 likes. Bill Elmore says, pop up there. Can't wait to see San Francisco and Chicago ads. Getting 15 likes, which yeah, those places. There more businesses have left California and San Francisco in the past year, I think, than ever. I don't think there's ever been more businesses leaving that area than anywhere else. I mean, even the traditional tech companies, which are stalwarts of, you know, California, especially the Bay, even they move their headquarters to places like, you know, great places like TXS. Even, you know, Hewlett Packard Enterprise, Oracle, CrowdStrike, some of the largest tech companies are leaving California. Do you really want those policies that force them to leave on a federal level? Yeah, I don't think anyone does, especially San Francisco, where it's literally covered in crap. I'm not being bombastic. The culture has declined so much. It's just even they're defecating everywhere. That's how much the culture has declined in California, which, again, used to be a beautiful place. And yet their policies are that bad, and the culture's declined that much. Jeez, any contrarian statements. You have an AI picture of Kamala Harris as the Scarecrow, and Tim Walz says the lion, and Wizard of Oz says no brain, no heart, which, yeah, lying about combat experience, that pissed off a lot of veterans, Mr. Tim Walz. And, yeah, I got 28 likes. Let's see. Humanoid says Kamala Harris is an existential threat to America, and we know it. And got 1 like. There's an AI picture of Kamala Harris riding a helicopter, and the view of the window is the burning city. She goes, "We did it, Joe!" Getting 8 likes, which they did in Minnesota during the 2020 Summer Love riots, where she also helped bail them out. Let's see. Tinker Tweet says, last time it was in Detroit was 2018. It was a crapple, bums living under bridges, laying on the road drunk and passed out, feet on the road, and dilapidated houses and roads. VP Harris has no damn clue what she's talking about. Getting 2 likes, which I feel bad for this guy. Why do you have to visit Detroit? Rough trip. Let's see. Retired Mailman says getting everyone sucking from the government teat is exactly what these socialists want. They want everyone to rely on the government for everything. Getting 3 likes, and fact check true. Also, remember when Obama was in office and Detroit went bankrupt because of their ineptitudes and corruption? And I mean, Obama famously said, "Oh, we won't bail out Detroit. They're not going to give them a bailout." Spoiler alert: they got a bailout because of the by the U.S. taxpayers. I believe it's $400 million. Ridiculous. So mismanaged, just a terrible place. Let's see. So yeah, it's funny. Kamala Harris thinks it's going to be a good message to boost her campaign. Here's finally a picture of a Detroit house. Watching in decline says, "No, thank you. I'd rather not live in a place like Detroit." And again, at one point there was a quaint, cute little brick house, and now there's literally trash everywhere. The house no longer has a door. The roof is mostly gone. It's just a shell of what it once was. Perhaps a good metaphor for the city of Detroit that did get 1 like. And yeah, I don't think it's going to help Kamala in any way at all. And let me know in the comments, when was the last time you actually went to Detroit? And do you think it could ever be saved? Could the culture and politics ever, turn around and fix the city? Let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Fisher-Price Baby Swing is being recalled. Now, this comes to us thanks to NPR, which, interestingly enough, is still in business. Well, thanks to our U.S. tax dollars. More interestingly enough, actually has some valuable data. Not a lot. Very, very small, but some nevertheless. specifically Elena Wise, who's a writer over there, which she says, quote, infant swing recalled after deaths. You can see the, I say, I'm not usually, in terms of marketing, I say F minus. Supposed to be a kid thing, supposed to be colorful. And this swing, I don't know who designed this. It looks like it's brown and cream colored. There's a lot of cushions on it. A lot of the things are, what do you call the things that are coming down from the little light at the top? Or what do you call those silly things? The little, what is it? Let me know in the comments. What the hell am I thinking about? It's the thing where you have the thing of the object above the baby, where you have several little things like coming off of it. Whatever the hell that thing is called. But it looks like a pretty weak design. Let's see. Well, they say, are you expecting a paywall? Donate now. Hell no. I'm not giving you a penny. You already get my tax dollars, NPR. They say, quote, the children products giant Fisher Price announced that it was recalling more than 2 million infant, what the hell is this? It's called the infant Snugga Swings due to suffocation hazard after, 5 children were reported dead from sleeping in the device. I'm pretty pessimistic to buying anything modern in terms of, do you really need that junk? I can't but think, do you really need this crap? People have had kids since the dawn of time. You don't need these fancy toys and gadgets. It's just luxuries that are unnecessary. They say, quote, from 2012 to 2022, 5 infants between 1 and 3, between 1 and 3 months old were reported dead when the rocking chair was used for sleep, usually when the babies were unrestrained and additional bedding was added to the seat, which it's also human error as well. So I wouldn't necessarily blame 100% of the manufacturer at blame. Like you say, if continuing to use the products, parents were encouraged to remove the headrest and the body support insert from the seat pad. Companies offering, that's it, a $25 refund to consumers, which retailed until January this year for about $160. If I was a parent, I'd be irate. You paid $160 for this death swing and it gives you $25. They probably know people are, also with how quickly kids grow, they know people aren't going to bother for the refund because they probably threw these away. Ridiculous. They say, additionally, about 2.1 million of the swings were sold in the United States, and about additional 99,500 were sold in Canada as well as Mexico. This is not the first time Fisher Price has been to recall one of these products following the death of a child. In 2019, the company recalled a once popular rock and play slippers. What? Which led to 100 infant deaths? Jesus. I mean, there better be no executives left of this company after these incidents. They better be fired in exodus. That's just ridiculous. 100? Jeez. Again, crap you don't, just stuff you don't need. Like, so in that instance, the investigation by the House Committee of Oversight and Reform found that Fisher Price allegedly hadn't adequately vetted the sleeper for children before putting it in the market in 2009, and then batted away criticism of the rock and play for decades before recalling it in 2019, after more than 50 infants had lost their lives. Ridiculous. Now they say, quote, this is the New York-based company faces similar criticism of their Snugga swings now. Richard Trumka, who's a junior, who's a commissioner of the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, said, quote, first, Fisher Price fails to recall the entire product, instead recalling only a portion of it. Even after a consumer follows through with the recalled remedy, the product remains unsafe for infant sleep, yet Fisher Price encourages continuing to use the swing. They also say, second, along with choosing to recall only a portion of the product, Fisher Price is offering consumers only a small portion of the product's cost, $25, while consumers originally spent $160, plus the extortion, the sales tax on it, for the Snugga swing. Its individuals also say, quote, I fear that this is a dangerous approach that will help babies at the risk of the death, just to save Fisher Price money, a horrible example of putting profit before people. Yes, Trumka advised parents to take the cash $25 refund and throw the chair away because it remains unsafe for children to sleep in. Which, geez, do they not do any quality control at these companies? And again, I'm not a baby expert. We're just looking at it, and if you're not seeing the visualizations, you're missing out. Go check it out on the good old rumble.com, the topping show. But there's a lot of crap on there you don't need. There's about not 12 pillows, but there's so many cushions on there. Fortunately, I could see how things could go bad in this instance. And again, it's also engineered, I guess, not for sleeping, but for rocking. Maybe it's like the Q-tip thing where legally you're not supposed to clean your ears with the Q-tip. The back of the box says to use it for anything else but that, but you really use it for that. But so many blunders. People actually, babies passing away from this Fisher Price. That is just so disgusting. And all this from those stupid slippers too. 100. Jeez. That's just disgusting. Yeah, jeez, I would never touch it. Jeez, yeah, if I was a parent, I'd never trust this brand again. That is just ridiculous. And yeah, again, it's one of those things where it can be very attractive to like sell things that are going to this, the product categories of children's toys, such as accessories, especially if you have multi-families, multiple kids, you can sell more than one. And when people are when people are on emotional highs, they spend more money without thinking logically. Just an interesting phenomenon, but it just blows my mind. I don't know who's in charge of quality control because it's certainly not doing their damn job. And to have so many kids passing away because this improper design, as well as maybe they need more instructions for the parents not to, actually let the child sleep in this. I gotta say, that's disgusting. You gotta say, Fisher-Price, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button, I really appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make sure better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.